Hello again, everyone. Michael Vosbein here at Crescent Cymbal Studio, and today I have with me the very talented Crescent endorsing artist Chuck Red. Chuck, welcome.
Great to be here, Michael.
Oh man,
My pleasure.
I've been looking forward to having you in studio for quite some time.
Thank you.
Let's start from the beginning with you. You're from the DC area, right?
Right.
And tell me about coming up as a kid and how you got rolling as a drummer, or a musician, let's say.
Right. Well, I started playing drums when I was about 10 years old. Had a wonderful teacher from the Air Force Band, John Richardson. From there, I played drums in high school and at a community college. When I got out of high school, I met a gentleman who was a great mentor to me, Bill Potts, wonderful arranger, and he recommended me for some great gigs around town, and I started playing with some big bands and playing professionally in D.C. Then was hired by Charlie Bird, the great guitar player, when I was 21, who was based in D.C. Very lucky that that worked out well. And I toured with Charlie on and off for 19 years. Within that 19 years, I also worked with the Smithsonian Jazz Masterworks Orchestra a lot of the time, for 15 years of that 19 years. And so it really has been a great career, you know, being based in D.C., and I teach a lot as well.
Now, if you may not know this about Chuck, he's a wonderful vibraphone player as well, and probably equally known as a vibist and a drum set player. When did the vibes get into the picture?
I started playing vibes after hearing a record by the great Milt Jackson when I was in high school. And then I kind of started developing my vibraphone playing at home. At some point, somebody called me for a gig, and then that kind of gradually led to some playing vibes with Charlie Bird. And then eventually with Mel Torme, he had a quintet that included the great Ken Poplawski and some other guys. And so I played with Mel a little bit, then developed my own group in around the mid-90s, and started leading quartets and quintets and things like that. And so I love the melodic outlet of the vibraphone, but I'm a drummer first. That's where I started. And
Well, let's drill down into that a little bit, because you're one of the few drum set drummers who have the experience of hiring drummers and playing in front of drummers, and getting that perspective of what you need as a soloist, an ensemble player up front, from the drummer. How has that tempered your perspective?
it's educated me greatly. That's been really one of the great experiences of being a vibraphone player and being able to share the bandstand with some of my favorite drummers and some of the great drummers: Jeff Hamilton, Louis Nash, Victor Lewis, Deduca de Fonseca, Mickey Roker. I've played quite a bit with some of these gentlemen, and it's really helped me as a drummer, because it's made me more sensitive to what a soloist needs, what an ensemble requires. For instance, the sound of the cymbals, to keep it relevant here. When I'm playing with Jeff, the cymbal texture that not only he gets, but that you will feel and hear from a Crescent cymbal, is nothing short of perfect behind what I'm doing, at least, playing in an acoustic jazz situation.
Now let's talk more about that. What are you looking for from a cymbal sound as a drummer and as someone playing with a drummer?
I'm looking for something, I believe, that's contrasting to the sound, my sound, the vibraphone in this case, but I think any soloist would feel this. They want a cushion that they can play on, something that's contrasting, but not too deeply contrasting most of the time. I have played with drummers that have very kind of pingy, clangy, dark cymbals, kind of like a 22, real dark cymbal. That doesn't work for me as a vibes player. It might work with maybe a trumpet player that can really cut, So I'm looking for something I'm looking for something that makes me feel like playing. And not to give too much of a blatant commercial, but these cymbals make me feel like playing.
Well, we talked before about the natural abilities of a drum or a vibes or any percussion instrument is staccato.
Right.
We do staccato real easy. We do
Right.
forte real easy as drummers.
Right.
There's a little bit of that legato touch you're looking for in the cymbals that complement the vibes?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You want things that that blend. You don't want necessarily another frequency to be only occupied over here or up there or someplace. You want to be able to feel that you're inside the music, coming from the rhythm section, which includes the drums and the cymbals. And so that's really the sound I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a separate feeling or a separate sound.
Don't you think that sort of defies genres? I'm finding some of the metal players are looking for that too. They want some ambiance under some wash, let's call it.
I didn't know that, but that's great.
Underneath the percussive, staccato, driving attack element of drums.
Well, as a player, as a drummer and as a vibraphone player, it seems intuitive to me that we're all here together to play with each other, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for things that work well together, So, so we want a drum set that all works together. I don't think we want sounds that are completely separate from each other all the time.
That's funny you would say that. I used to talk with students about whether or not the drum set is an instrument or an ensemble. And my theory is it's an ensemble that acts as one instrument.
Yeah.
So we make our own little mixes as we play.
That's right.
So that it's all one sound.
Absolutely.
Now, your teaching practice, is it centered around a facility or a university? Or
I teach at the University of Maryland, and very happy to be there. I've been there about 5 or 6 years. I have some wonderful students there, and it's been a great experience for me. It keeps me on my toes. And
students always do.
They always do, especially the good ones. And it's really wonderful to be able to impart some of the pearls of wisdom that I hopefully have accumulated over the years from the experience I've had. I've had a lot of experience playing drums with a lot of different people.
And I know what I've found when I was teaching, you know this as a student from coming up, a teacher will lay something on you that you go, okay. But it's not till sometime later at the gig that you go, oh.
Absolutely.
That's what they were talking about.
Right. And sometimes you can spend many hours in lessons, and that one thing that they will say or show you will click later on and change your perspective.
And you never know what that's going to be or when it's going to come back.
No.
And you have that
realization.
That moment.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. And so it's I really love teaching, and I love doing clinics, and I love going into schools when I'm on the road. I travel a lot, and I do a fair amount of clinics as well. I love that.
Is most of your teaching drum set or vibes, or about half and half?
It's mostly drums, but I also teach a fair amount of vibes, and with all of my students at University of Maryland, I try to teach them at least a little bit about playing vibes, get them started right, and some of them want to really move deeply into that, and I love that too. And
your gigging life is half vibes?
It seems like it's about half and half. It works really well.
I know I saw you playing the Terry Gibbs book at a jazz party in LA earlier this year,
right,
out front playing vibes, but you told me you're just as excited about sitting back and playing drums on some of those tracks that Mel Lewis did.
Absolutely. That's some very exciting music from some of the great arrangers in jazz history, Al Cohn and Marty Page and Bill Holman. So I love playing those kind of charts at the drum set, but to front the band, I was very honored to front the band that featured Jeff Hamilton and many great soloists from the LA area.
And Terry was there.
Terry was there, and I was very flattered that Terry chose me to do that, and it was a great thrill to play that music. But on the same festival, as you know, I was playing a lot of drums too. So it was really, I love both. I love both aspects of making music.
Well, as a listener, I got my money's worth.
Good.
Now, what do you have coming up, touring-wise, gig-wise?
Well, I'm doing a couple of other jazz parties, which are mini little festivals.
And that's why you're here?
Yes, that's why I just finished the Atlanta Jazz Party, which is a wonderful event hosted by Philip Carroll. I'm going to be at the West Texas Jazz Party coming up very soon in May. I'm going to be leading a quartet at the Empress Lounge in Washington, D.C. this coming Friday night. That's the 26th of April. I'm doing an extensive tour of Japan with Ken Poplawski in the fall with a big band, and also Carol Welsman, an excellent singer and pianist from the West Coast. All kinds of things coming up, some festivals even into next year. I'm kind of booked with some festivals.
I'm not surprised.
Well, thank you. And I go to Portland, Oregon a lot. I play a wonderful club there called Jimmy Mac's. I'm sure I'll be back out there sometime in the fall. Just kind of all over the place. It's great.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Well, we love having you here in Atlanta. I'd like to see you more often here. I always run into you elsewhere, but this way you get to go to the vault and pick out some plates.
Oh man, I've had a ball doing that this afternoon.
That's fun, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
fun for me too when artists come in.
Thank you.